Flosstube, I'm Melissa, and this is my third video. I'm not nearly as organized today as I have been in the past, so hopefully you'll forgive me. It's been a really crazy 2 weeks, and I just said in my last video that I wanted to try and film weekly instead of every 2 weeks, just so that my piles don't get quite so high. But these last 2 weeks have just not been great for me. And this past week I actually went 5 days in a row without putting a single stitch in, which I'm sure some of you can relate to. Like, I go through these cycles where, I don't feel good, I'm kind of anxious about something, I can't like settle myself enough to stitch, but then by not stitching, I make all that bad feeling worse, and it just like builds on each other. So this weekend I finally put in a lot of stitches because of the Harry Potter homework. So hopefully I'm back on track, and I have to at work today, and that's very nice. So I figure I'll just bang this out, and my daughter has a concert at preschool this afternoon, and it's gonna be so cute. I'm pretty excited for that. So yeah, I figure maybe this will get me back in the stitching mood, and once again, hopefully I'll get back on a weekly schedule. Only my third video, and already I can't keep to a schedule, so this does not bode well for my future, but let's just cross our fingers. So I don't have any exciting haul. I do have a package in the mail, and it should be here before my next video probably. I'm really excited about. I'm trying to think, do I have any actual haul? I don't think so. But I do. Last time I showed you the Notions pouches by McFly Stitches, and I alluded to having other types of bags from her, so I brought some of those. Now, there's one more that I don't have with me because my daughter carries her stuffed animal to preschool in it, so maybe I'll find a picture and insert it just because I think it's pretty cute. But it's just like this one though, only smaller. So this one is I forget what she calls it. I think just a backpack. I think a cute, like an 8x8 Q-snap would fit in here. Do I have one? No. And certainly a 6x6 would definitely fit. I don't really use it for cross stitch though. I use it as a knitting bag. So if I'm traveling, I'll throw my knitting in here. But I actually don't really keep my knitting in project bags at home. I tend to just keep it laying all over the house. So yeah, that's why this is empty right now. But I just thought it was such cute fabric, and it's really well made. Like the straps, they are just fabric, but it's really smooth. It feels nice and thick and sturdy. I really like this one. And then the other one I have is my absolute favorite thing I've ever gotten from McFly Stitches, and that is my Sew Together bag. So if you've never seen a Sew Together bag before, it when it's zipped up, it's like this little triangle pyramid shape. But then when you unzip it, there's tons of compartments, some zippered and some not. And so it's just, it's so handy. I keep this next to my stitchy spot, and anytime that I take stitching with me, I just grab this whole bag. So I've got like a compartment for needles. I've got some beeswax like in this little zippy pouch. I've got a little pouch with some scissors in it, pens, you know. This has some knitting. I don't know what you call these. You put them on the end of your knitting needles so your knitting can't slip off. And sometimes I keep stitch counters in here too. And then just like some needle minders. But it's so handy that everything like zips up all nice and compact, and it has everything I could ever need. I've tried using like little Notions pouches basically, and I just don't like how everything mixes up. My needles stick to my needle minders, and it annoys me, or I end up jabbing myself with my scissors when I'm reaching for a pen or something. So I love this. It's a Sew Together, like S-E-O, S-E-O, oh my goodness, S-E-W, sew together. All right, whips. So part of what I'm not organized about this week is I didn't take all my whips out of my little keepers because there's like a dozen, and I don't know. I don't have a good excuse, guys. I just really wanted to start filming, so I figured we'll just chat while I do this, you know? So, it's been, like I said, it's been a little over 2 weeks. I can't remember. Some of these I worked on for more than one prompt in the group. So, I can't necessarily remember all the reasons that I worked on them, but this is Brave. I'm pretty sure I worked on this. Oh, let me show you. This is by Donut Stitch. And I'm pretty sure that I worked on this for Metal. So that was back in like week 4 of January, and that was like the week 4 homework. We're already onto the week 2 homework. Week 3 homework? Week 3 homework in February? Week 2? I don't know. God, I have no idea like what is going on. But this was part of the Find the Philosopher's Stone, and there was the task about the flying key room, so stitch on something metal. So I pulled this because I was going to stitch the crown, and when I pulled it out, I realized that the entire crown is finished. So I'm not going to insert a picture because I can tell you I had the crown done, and then I added the bear's ear. That's it. So there's that. I'm really hoping, let's see, it's 1:49 right now. I'm really hoping that I can get this filmed and edited and uploaded and closed captioned before my husband gets here at like slightly after 3 o'clock to go to my daughter's concert. So that's definitely not going to happen. Maybe I'll at least get it uploaded and I can do the captions later. I used to be quite involved in the deaf community. For a while, I was seriously contemplating pursuing a career as an interpreter or working in a deaf school, like as a teacher or something. So it's really important to me to close caption my videos and make sure that they're accessible to anyone who might want to watch them. So it takes a long time and it's really hard and I hate doing it, but it is something that I'm passionate about. So I do add brackets with CC after them once I've managed to add the captions. And part of the reason that it took me so long to film, besides just being like not really in a mood for it, is it took me like a week and a half, 10 days, something like that, before I finally got my video captioned. Just because it was so long last week, it took me forever. And I tried a new method. So like the first video that I captioned, I just typed them in. Like I let the video play and I just captioned it. The second time it was like, hey, we have these English captions for you. Do you want to start with that and like modify? And I was like, that sounds great, you know, less for me to type. It actually took way longer because half the time I had no idea what they thought I was saying. And there was also no punctuation, no like spacing. It was basically one huge run-on sentence for my entire video. And I just didn't think that was very nice. Like, it's not very easy to read. Anyway, off my soapbox. My second whip was Snow Queen, and I worked on this for more than one challenge. I worked on it, I think, for Royalty, and then again for a night scene. And I know some of you might think this isn't a night scene, but in my head, it's 100% a nighttime scene. So, there's that. And I think I actually ended up doing double on this anyway, so it doesn't even matter that it wasn't a night scene. Like I did the forfeit anyway, just because of the way the stitches fell, and I didn't want to end my floss, so I just kept stitching, and I think I ended up getting 200 in. I still hate this. It's not really focusing. Maybe if I get my face out of there. It's not focusing on my stitches. If you look at them up close, I don't think they look bad at all now. But when I'm stitching them, I feel like they're so wonky. They're so, I don't know. I really hate working on this. I was talking to Amy, Gable's Stitcher, about it, and she said she thinks it's because this is the called for Picture This Plus fabric. It's a 32 count Lugana in Storm. But she said that she thinks Picture This Plus is known for like excessive shrinking, and I do my mirrors 2/2 so that I can do the skin 1/1, and I just think that 2/2 on this count, I think it's closer to a 36, and I think it's just a little too tight. It's just not, it's not comfortable. So I don't know. Part of me is like, you know, I've got maybe 400 stitches done on this huge project, so maybe I should just cut my losses, get some new fabric. Maybe I could still do the Storm Lugana, but maybe buy it in a 28, so it would be more like a 32, like after the shrinkage. I don't know. That would be the third Mira that I've had to UFO since Mania last year, and that kind of bugs me. Maybe it's a sign that I shouldn't start 3 Miras during Mania. Yeah. So the next thing I worked on was Death by Cross Stitch, and I do remember the prompt was to work on a troll, which is just like a BAP, a really large piece. So I'll insert what that looked like before here. And here it is now. So, I can't quite remember. I think I might have had this skinny line all the way down, and I started filling in these arrows. And you know what I realized when I was like done? They're supposed to be the exact inverse of these arrows. So see these little back stitches? Like I was supposed to be putting those in as I go. So I have to catch that up. Whatever. I also went to the dentist last week. I hate the dentist so much. My gums are like really sensitive, and so it looks like a bloodbath when I go to the dentist. And like I do all the things that you're supposed to do, and it doesn't hurt that much. It's just like I can taste the blood in my mouth all day, which is just, I'm sure no one likes that. But what's funny is while I was there, we started talking about toddlers, and I was saying like I'm lucky if I can get 10 seconds of good brushing out of my toddler. You know, she'll chew on it and stuff, but like actual brushing, I'm always like, let's count to 10 and really brush, you know? And they said like, don't worry about it because they're baby teeth anyway, and you're just trying to set up a habit. But still, I want it to be setting good habits. So anyway, they recommended to me for my gums getting a spin brush. So I did. And so while I was getting a spin brush, I got her a spin brush. And oh my goodness, you guys, she will not stop brushing her teeth now. Like, after several minutes of teeth brushing, I finally have to say like, okay, let's count to 10 and be done. And then I still have to like coax it away from her. So if you've got a toddler, oh my goodness, the spin brush. Now you're gonna be replacing batteries like crazy. I need to look into whether they make electric spin brushes, but like, wow. All right, so next up was my Scotland mandala, I don't know, by Chatelaine. And this is for the prompt, something that puzzles you. And I'm in the Chatelaine group on Facebook, and someone is doing this, and they're only like 21 days in, and they are like flying. I mean, I think they have like the whole inner square and like one of the castles started, and it's been like, they've only been working on it for 21 days or something. I'm amazed. So I'm not going to insert a picture because basically all I had before was this inner triangle, and I brought out the circles. So I'm almost done with this thread. And I said last time that it's a DMC. It's not a DMC. It's a Gloriana Velvet Night Sky. And it's gorgeous, but I don't know, man. I'm so scared. Let me know in the comments if you've done a Chatelaine. Do you do all the specialty stitches and beading as you go? Or do you go through and do all the DMCs so that you kind of, or Gloriana, whatever, all the regular X's, so that you kind of have like better counting? I use a Q-snap. I'm worried about beading as I go, but I think that would be the easiest way to do it. That's what everyone says. And I've heard a lot of people that say like, put some felt in your Q-snap and it's fine to do the beads, but like, this is intense, you guys. If I do all this beading and then my Q-snap crushes it, I might just cry. throw it away. It would be devastated. So next up, I worked on Stabby Blue by McFly Stitches, and I worked on this for several different prompts. I don't remember them all now, but at least 3, I think, since the last time I saw you. And with those, I managed to finish the inner border. So now I get to start the fun stuff. And this is a conversion. It's still in DMCs, but it's all greens instead of blues. I'm really excited about that. Next up, I worked on 12 Days by Satsuma Street. And this is the one that I'm doing with Amy, Cable Stitcher, and I'm supposed to finish this block by the end of the month. I'm on block 10. So that's my February block. I'm supposed to finish that by the end of the month. Plus, I have to finish this little girl's arm for my January block. So hopefully another prompt comes that'll make it easy to fit into. Because I just have not been finding time for non-Harry Potter stitching, I gotta say. So that's what I got. It's pretty pathetic. I'm not going to insert a picture. I'm just going to show you. So last time I had these green vines done. I think that's it. So I added the flowers. I added the top of his hat and his boots. And then I added this whole little castle thing at the bottom. And like I said, I think that was for more than one prompt too. Like I added the castle for one prompt, and then I added like the little things for another prompt. But I don't know. I waited too long, and I was like not documenting the way I should have been. I can't remember if I showed you guys. I have like a little journal, and it's like a bullet journal. And so if you know anything about bullet journals, you've probably seen what they call habit trackers, and it's just a chart with the days across the top and then the habits or whatever you want to track down the side. So I put my projects on the side, and then I just put an X under the column for the day if I worked on that project. I haven't done that since January. Like I haven't even set up my February tracker, and it's February 11th. So at my doctor's appointment this morning, while I was waiting for the doctor to come in, goodness, I cannot speak today. While I was waiting for the doctor to come in this morning, I was scrolling through Facebook and keeping a list of everything I worked on, and that's the only reason I know what I did. But, you know, jumping between, like, tabs and stuff on my phone, and, you know, I didn't keep good track of, like, why I did it. So, sorry. I'll try to do better next time. So next was Paladin, and I want to say I worked on this for more than one reason as well. I remember I worked on it for last week's homework, which was the Polyjuice potion, and so there's 7 ingredients that go into making a Polyjuice potion, and one of them is lacewing flies or something like that. The prompt was something that flies, so I did the dragon. So here's where I'm at, and I'm not going to insert a picture because I'll just tell you I did this little bit right here. So I really love this one. It's, is it centered? Yeah. It's like, I like that it's, monochrome, because I feel like I see progress really quickly, you know, like it feels like I'm making strides on it. And I think I am. Like, it's pretty big. I have a lot of dragon left to go, but, you know. And the model is stitched in Vicky Clayton in Lark's tongue, and it is beautiful. I love the variegation, but I'm pretty happy with the choice that I was about to say with my choice, but the choice that Jessie Marie made that I copied, which is just a DMC number 746. I do like variegated threads, but I think part of what I love about this is how brainless it is, and if I had to think about my variegation path, I don't think I would love it as much. So, yeah, there's that. I'm running out of room to shove these, so I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of this pile now. Okay. Next. This is probably a whole new side of me. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, next up, and I just realized I need the book because all I have is a copy of the pattern. So next up is Believe by Joan Elliott. And you might have seen these words before. She's got like a group of 4. And so the prompt was something that's hard to find. So maybe like a unicorn, like out of print pattern, or just something that you had trouble finding for whatever reason, you know? So maybe 8, 10 years ago, something like that, I saw kits for these words everywhere. Like I got those Stitchery magazines and they were in every single one. I feel like I saw them in big box stores. Like, I feel like they were everywhere. And it's these 4, let me see, these 4 words. Okay, so I just thought they were really cute for like a little girl's room. Like, that's what I thought every time I saw them. That'd be so cute to hang in a little girl's room. Well, now here we are. I have a little girl. And so for Mania last year, I wanted to start these. And I couldn't find them anywhere. There's no kits anywhere online that I could find. I couldn't find the pattern anywhere to buy. I finally learned that it's in this book, which once I knew it was in this book, I think I got this on Amazon. I don't think this was that hard to find, but it just took me a while to figure out that it was in this book. So yeah, so anyway, I was doing the Believe one. Did you see that? You did, but I'm going to show you again. I hope you don't mind when I'm like scattered like this. I feel like normally I'm way more organized and like get things done, and today I'm just all over the place. But it's this one. This is the one that I worked on. So I'm working in this big swoopy L, which you won't be able to tell. But here we go. So here's the big swoopy L. And so I did everything in this blue color. I had this little bit of purple from my Mania start, and I was working in the blue color this time. And my other issue with this pattern is, so I'm doing all 4. I'm doing them all on the same fabric, which is like mixed berry something. I can't find a tag on any of them. See, I've got all 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's all this like mixed berry Jobelin, I want to say. It's really a nice fabric. If anyone's interested, I can look on my spreadsheet what it is. But, so all 4 of the patterns, they use a lot of the same colors. Like, some have different colors, but a lot of them are the same throughout. So I sit down to stitch, and if you remember, I mentioned that I have my Master DMC set on bobbins, and then I cut a length for each of my projects. And the reason I do that, I don't remember what I said last week, the reason I do that is because I used to buy floss for every project. So I'd have a whole bobbin of the floss with every project. And that worked really well when I had like half a dozen projects. Especially because I did a lot, almost entirely, I did full coverage. So, I mean, you probably were going to use a skein, maybe even more, you know, per project. Like my ponies, I've got some colors where I've got 6 or 10 skeins of one color for the pony. So it makes sense to buy then, you know, or like, I don't know if you saw my Death by Cross Stitch, like I bought all the skeins, you know, dye lots, whatever. So that worked well. But then when I was coming up to Mania, I had to come up with a different system because I was going to have 31 new starts. And a lot of them like this were really tiny. I don't need a full skein of all these. Like I don't even need full length for each one of these, to be honest. I do a 4-foot length, but I do a loop start. So I use a 2-foot length to stitch with. So I don't even use like all 6 strands in the length for a lot of these. So that's why I came up with this system. And I don't remember who I saw that did this. I think it was probably a mix of a lot of people. Katie the Stash Queen, Jessie Marie, maybe even Caroline at Off the Grid Needle Arts. I know Katie, I want to say she stitches with her master stash like next to her, and so she just cuts a length when she needs it. And I'd love to be able to get to that someday, but right now with my toddler, I need to keep my master stash safe. So I can't leave it over at my stitching area, and it's like 5 huge bobbin boxes, so I don't want to carry it back and forth. I don't know. I've got one of those huge ones that everybody's been talking about on Facebook. One of these double-sided ones. And some people say you can fit an entire DMC Master set in here. And maybe I don't have the right one, but I cannot. Especially with the new, like the 36 new colors. There's no way I can fit a whole set in here. And so I got small boxes because if I can't fit everything in here anyway, then it's too big and clunky. I don't want to have like 80% of my stash in there. I don't know. That's silly, right? Whatever. So where was I going with this story? I think I was trying to say I cut all these floss bits for these Joan Elliott patterns, and basically just I didn't have enough floss. I kept running out. I think because I'm using the same lengths like for everything, so like I really needed this color, and I have it. And then like when I kitted it up, I think I half-assed it. So like I've got some that don't have any lengths. I just think I never cut the length. I was just like in a hurry to start this day or something. So I was just being really lazy, and I didn't want to get up and cut another length. And like I run into that a lot. So I feel like maybe I need to come up with another system because, you know, what I should do, what I really should do is go through my whip bin, which is on the floor over here. Might as well just show you this because I'm showing you everything else, right? So I've got this bin. I got it at Joann's. It's got this little line on it, so clearly I think it's meant for like baby toys, but it perfectly fits these 12 by 12 memory keepers from Hobby Lobby. So this is where all my whips go. I need a new bin. My whips are outpacing that. But that's what I'm doing now. So anyway, what I should probably do is go through that bin and make sure that everything's kitted up. And if there's any floss that's like almost done, cut another length. It'd probably only take me a couple hours. And then like my stitching would be so much more productive. Because even on this, like I spent a lot of time like just trying to figure out like what do I have the length of, like what do I have thread to do while I'm sitting here on the couch that's, you know, 2 rooms away from my stash. I could have just walked over here, but I didn't. So what do I have the length already cut for? And like what's the best stitching path? I don't know. I wasted so much time doing that. It was disappointing. I also have this little, I think I left a needle in it. I think it's like rust. So that bugs me. But I don't think it goes much above this, and you can't see it too much from the front. So hopefully like with a bath, and then like once I stretch it, I hope you can't see that. I am in rare form, you guys. I'm sorry. This is the real me. I'm not usually nearly so put together as I pretended in my first 2 Flosstube videos. So there's my secret. Okay, I'm almost done with whips. Next up, I did Snow White, and this was also for the Polyjuice potion, and the prompt was something with grass because we use knot grass in the potion. And I had a couple patterns that had some grass in them, or I could make the argument at least that it was grass, but this is just obviously a lot of grass. So, and I haven't worked on it in a while, and I have kind of an unofficial goal. It's not that unofficial, it's kind of an official goal. I don't want any of my patterns to go for more than a year without being touched. And what I always say is if I reach the number of whips where I can't comfortably touch them all in a year, then that's when it's too much for me. For me. I know some people have more whips than that and they're comfortable with that. No judgment. But me personally, I think that's when I would start to get anxious about my whip pile, is if I couldn't touch them all in a year. So I always said that was probably somewhere around 52. Although with this new group that I've been doing this year, I'm definitely stitching more than 1 whip per week, as you can see. Still, like I want to touch everything in a year, and I don't think I had touched this since Mania, so it worked. And there's no before picture, but basically I had this little dark blue, and then I had like down to this connecting point here of the light blue, so I just filled in down here. And the pattern's deceiving because it's this little thing right here, and then this part that's coming down around the apple No, this side, coming down around the apple here, and then this little like comma shape, that's what I have. But the blues look totally different stitched than they do on the pattern. I don't know, I can't even blame it on printer ink because I don't remember if I printed these. I think because I started like all 10 donut stitches as part of Mania, so that's all she had out last year. I think that's all she has out, the 10 from her fairy tale series. I started them all during Mania, and I want to say like I started to print at home, and I just could tell her even printing in black and white, which is, I prefer black and white patterns if I'm going to have them on paper. I'm getting better at stitching from a PDF thanks to June, McFly Stitches, because hers was just really easy to stitch from a PDF. I always thought that I had to mark my pattern or I would never be able to find my place, but I don't really have that issue with hers, and so I'm getting better. Anyway, off track. So I like PDF. If I'm going to print it, I want to be able to highlight it, so I like it in black and white. But even with that, it was using too much ink, so I think that I had it printed at like a FedEx office. So I can't even say that like my ink messed up that color, because that's probably not true. Like, I think I got it printed, so I don't know. I'm not mad about it. As Michelle, I just stole that from Michelle Bendy. I'm not mad about it. I like the colors both ways. So next step was Always by Mary Bory Embroidery. And all I have printed is the pattern, so I will insert a picture of what that's going to look like here. And here's where I'm at. I'm not going to insert a picture of where I was, because again, this is just easier to show you. So I had this purple lettering done. Then I was working on this little deer, okay? But I put this ear, which is the deer's left ear, I put it here over the R, which, since you've seen the pattern now, you know that the right ear goes like this way over the R. So anyway, I had to rip out this entire ear, like from the letter up, I had stitched right here. So I had to rip all that out and put it back in over here. I hate frogging so much. Like, I've been known to throw away a pattern or throw away fabric just so I don't have to frog it. But I just really, this is just like a random scrap of Ada that I got from like a box of stuff that my grandma gave me. Like old stitching stuff that she wasn't going to use anymore. So I don't even know, I don't know what color it is or anything. I'm fairly confident it's a 14 count. But I just really like how it looks. And like, I don't know if you can see the right color, kind of, sort of, I don't know. I just really liked it, so I decided to suck it up and frog, because I didn't want to waste this fabric. That was frustrating. It didn't help my stitchy mood, you know. At least it was pretty easy, and I finally, like, I used to be really insane about getting the best, or like the most out of my floss. I think because, like, for most of my life, you know, I've been cross-stitching since I was a child, and it's not an expensive hobby, per se, compared to others, but floss wasn't necessarily readily available to me. Like, even if I could afford it, like, I didn't drive, I was a kid, you know, so I couldn't just, like, go refill my floss. So I was just always really crazy about making sure that my floss, like, I had, like, the best stitch path, and, you know, I always knew about, like, keeping your X crossed the same way, but I would even obsess y'all about, like, if I come up from the bottom and go down to the top, then do I come up from the top and go down to the bottom? Like, I overthought it so much, and it made it not fun at all. So in case you were wondering, what I do now is I come up from the bottom left and I go down in the top right, and then I come up in the bottom right and I go down the top left. And I really hate to do it otherwise. Like, I hate to start my leg at the top. I like to start at the bottom. But that's why some of these projects that I started in the middle of the fabric, like, it's so hard for me to work up, because, you know, you can't go straight up starting at the bottom the way I do it. I don't know. So where was I going with all that? Oh yeah. So since floss was so precious to me, if I had to frog, I would try and, like, save the floss, which is, like, so much more frustrating and difficult. So for this, I just like took a seam ripper and like ripped up so that each row was pretty easy to frog out. I'm getting ruthless. It's like, I don't care, I just want it out, you know, but anyway. So this is my last whip, finally! This is No Two Persons by McFly Stitches, and this was for, an extra credit, and the prompt was to stitch on something with words. And so not only does this have words on it, it has books, which are full of words. So, I mean, I deserve extra credit, right? Well, it is extra credit. I deserve extra credit on my extra credit. Okay, so what I did here, I put in all the purple and all the green, and that's it. Everything else was done. So, I like how this is turning out. I got sick of the purple halfway through. That's a lie. You know what? I didn't get sick of the purple. I ran out of purple, and I didn't want to get up and cut another length. Guys. So I switched to green. But I thought it sounded better if I said I was sick of the purple. Oh, man. Well, that one I just did yesterday. After going 5 days without stitching, and it was like the worst week too, because there was 700 stitches required on last week's homework, and that wasn't without a forfeit. Like if you had something that fit every prompt, which I did, that's 700 stitches, and I didn't even start them until Saturday afternoon. So that was a lot. But I actually had it finished by nap time on Sunday. I got them all done, all 700 stitches. So last night after bed, I wanted to knock out an extra credit because the extra credits are mostly 500 stitches each, which it adds up. Like it took several hours to get that done. And there's year-long extra credits, which are 1,000 each. And to stay on top, I really need to do 2 per month, which if I keep up that pace, I'll be done with it all in November. But I think that's best that I aim for that because first of all, I probably won't achieve it. But second of all, December is, as I'm sure it is for most people, it's absolutely insane for me. And that would be some pretty lofty goals to think that I'm going to have extra credit, like extra credit stitching time in December. So it'd be great if I was done by November, but I haven't even started one for this month. I don't even have planned for this month what I'm going to do for those year-long extra credits. So I wanted to at least get some February extra credit under my belt. But so that is finally on my whips. I do have some plans because I know the homework for this week, and I also did plan out what I'm going to work on for the rest of the February extra credit. So I have those here to show you, and then I just need to figure out what 2 year-long events I'm going to do, and then I'll be able to show those in my next video, I hope. Hold me to that, guys. Okay, so this week's prompt, there's 3. You only have to do 2. I mean, really, you do whatever you want. If you only do 1, you get half points. Like, they're not strict. It's kind of funny when they're like, do 2 out of the 3, or if you do all 3, you'll get bonus points, because, like, each one is worth points, so do however many you want. But I'm obviously doing all 3. Oh, by the way, I achieved my goal in January of getting every possible point. I want to say it was 124. On their grading, the highest you can get on the spreadsheet is 123 because they added all the troll points separately. So you don't get individual points for fighting the troll, but I did fight the troll, so I did get that extra point. So 124. Ooh. I really wish I wasn't so competitive because it's hard. Like, they're making it hard, and I wish that I could just be kind of like, whatever, I'll do what I can when I can, but I just can't. It's not in my blood. So, this week, 3 prompts. Each one is worth 200. If you don't have something that fits, you do double for the forfeit. So, hopefully mine fit and I'll get 600 points. So, the first one is a ghost. I do have Epic Harry Potter as a whip, which you'll see later. So I can always stitch on that because there's ghosts and Patronus and etc., etc. I think they said the Patronus counts, so I wonder if always counts because of the deer. My other thought was, are angels ghosts? I don't know. See, I have the Angel of Cross Stitch started. Barely started. I started it in Mania. I haven't done anything since then. And as we just discussed, I want to do them all. I want to touch everything that I started in Mania before the next Mania. And actually, before I joined Harry Potter, Amy and I in June, we were chatting and we decided we should all come up with goals before Mania. Now, June's kind of a one whip person, and especially she's working on Epic Harry Potter right now, and it's awesome. And she has a hashtag on FaceTime. I might cut that, but probably not. She has a hashtag on Instagram, and it's like hashtag June's Epic HP. But she's doing a lot of modifications, and it looks really awesome. And I'm a little bit jealous that I'm already like past some of her modifications because I want to copy her. But I'll talk more about that. Okay. Anyway, so she's like focused on that. That's her big goal this year is to do Epic Harry Potter. But Amy and I are multiple whips. So what we were talking about during the holidays before we joined Harry Potter is we set some goals for ourselves that we wanted to achieve before Mania. And what I said specifically, I don't know how specific she was, but I set up like 10 goals or something like that. 10, 15, I don't know. And it was all like whips, like a certain goal that I wanted to reach on my whips. And most of them were not finishes. I had a couple finishes in there. I had a couple that were like stitch all the X's, you know, but not necessarily finish the beading or whatever. But it was like, if I finish all those goals, then I can do as much as I want for Mania. I can start as much as I want. Whether that's a full like 31 days, 19 days, I don't know. Whatever I was feeling when May came, I like earned it if I completed these goals. And so it was like 10 or something, 10 or 12 or 15, something like that were like piece specific. But then I had a goal that was, you know, here's my take on the Blimey Cat method, that if on a whip's birthday, I hadn't touched it since the day I started it in the prior Mania, then I had to work on that whip. I couldn't start a new one unless I'd at least touched it a second time. So I still have a couple that I haven't touched since May. I need to get moving because I do think that I kind of threw those other goals out the window just because like I want to work on the Harry Potter more. But I think that should still be, I think that's still, now the Blimey Cat method, if you don't know, is Brittany at Ingleside Imaginarium. She came up with this method a couple years ago that a lot of people have adopted. And her thing was on the whip's birthday, if you haven't finished it, then you have to work on that whip. And you can only start a new whip if you finished last year's whip. Or it was maybe even any prior Mania. So any of the years that you did Mania, if you still had a whip open that you had started on any May 1st, that on May 1st you had to work on that whip. You couldn't start a new one. I started a lot of BAPs during Mania. I started Death by Cross Stitch. I started Big Red Ship of Life. I started all those donut stitches. I started a chatelaine. I started 3 Miras. There's just no way those are going to be finished by May. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with my number of whips. So I wasn't really necessarily worried about making sure I'd finished them. But like I said, I want to touch everything within a year. So if I hadn't even touched it, then I kind of felt like I didn't deserve a new start. All that to say, I haven't touched this since last year. Why am I crazy, you know? All right, so here's where I'm at. It's like the scroll rod, or like her frame here, and then a teeny tiny bit of 1/1 skin. I don't know if you can even see that because it blends a little bit. It's not gonna blend, like once it's done and backstitched and stuff, it's gonna look fine. So what I was thinking is, are angels ghosts? Back to my original question. I don't know. Maybe I'll just do the forfeit on this. That way I'm safe, you know, and it's not bad to have double on this anyway, since I haven't touched it since last May. So maybe I'll do that. I could use Epic Harry Potter, and I was just talking to Amy and June about this morning, and I said I feel like it's cheating. I feel like I could fit every single Harry Potter prompt into Epic Harry Potter, you know, because it's epic. And they both said it's not cheating. And I know it's technically not cheating. But like I said about before about being crazy and not wanting to use the same piece within the same week. I know that's a crazy thing. I am trying to get over it. I haven't succeeded yet. I've been still trying to come up with separate things. But I don't know. It just feels like that's not the point of the challenge. Like the challenge is to challenge yourself, right? And try and make something fit and touch different whips. And if I was a one whip person, then more power to me if I can fit it in. I think that's its own special kind of challenge. And I think it's really cool the people that are managing to fit like 1 or 2 or 3 whips for every prompt. That's amazing, and I'm not that creative. But I just feel like falling back to Epic Harry Potter, I'm sure that I'm going to have to do it sooner or later, and I am thinking that I might use it for one of the extra credits, so I should keep moving. But I don't know. It just feels like too easy. Like, every prompt you can come up with for Harry Potter, I'm going to be able to find it on Epic Harry Potter, you know? So I don't know. But so far, I think that I have something else to work on for now, at least. And maybe that's what I need to do, is just, if I can make something else fit, then I should, because otherwise, like, all I'll do is Epic Harry Potter, which is just not my jam. So then another, I don't remember what order these go in, but another of the prompts for this week is a cat. Because when Hermione drinks the Polyjuice potion, she turns into like a half cat lady. And this one I was really struggling with. And then as I was flipping through, pulling out my pieces for this video, I found this. And look, there's a Cheshire cat. So perfect. So I'll work on Alice in Wonderland by Donut Stitch. And I don't think I've touched this since last year. So we'll find out together right now if I started this properly. If you remember, oh wow, I must have worked on this. Look how much I have done. I didn't do all that in one day. Go me. But it does look like I started it properly. I had to toss my Rapunzel start, because when I pulled that out to work on it sometime last fall, I'd miscentered it, like horribly miscentered it. I don't even know how I could have done that. But like, it wasn't even that I'd have a thin margin. I was going to be off the fabric. Like, I couldn't even squeeze it on there with 0 margin. And you probably have noticed I like a lot of margin. Because I use my Q-snaps, and I like to put my Q-snap in a Lowry and like stitch double-handed. And it's just way more comfortable with a lot of margin. I will do like a smaller margin if that's like all I can fit. Like, if I have the perfect fabric and it's not going to be a 3 or 4 inch margin, fine. Like, I'll make it work. But it's just so much more comfortable to stitch if I've got a huge margin. So it probably drives some people crazy how much of a margin I have. But, you know. The third prompt for this week was do something with a modification, because the whole point of drinking Polyjuice potion is to modify how you look. So I didn't think I had anything for this, because I'm not good with modifications. Like, I remember like months and months ago, I left a comment on Coffee Stitches video because he was, I think it was the Oz pieces, his books Oz pieces maybe. He just like had such beautiful modifications, and he's modified like some of the Frosted Pumpkin sows, and they're always like amazing. And I do not have that kind of faith in myself. I just even switching out floss, I just never think that it's gonna look right. Like, I just don't have any faith in myself to do it. I'm not a designer. In my first video, I showed the Crazy Stitch Lady that I had modified. I think I have it right here. And I did tons of modifications on this. I changed like this color. I changed these colors. I changed the colors in her dress. I changed her hair. I think I changed the colors she's stitching with here. Like, this is crazy for me. And you know how I ended up doing it is because I was texting June like every 5 seconds, like, oh, do you think this color or this color would look better? So, you know, normally you don't have the original designer on speed dial, so it's a little harder. But I am modifying Stabby too, which is another one of her, you just saw it, another one of her pieces. I changed the colors, and they did say that just changing colors is a fair modification. But I've used that like 3 weeks in a row now, and I just found something new. But then I remembered. Anyway, I stole this modification. I could have used Paladin too, because I stole Jessie's modification, her floss on that. I modify more than I give myself credit for. I don't come up with them myself very often, but I modify. This one, I solemnly swear, I'm going to insert a picture here of what it's going to look like. Probably already know though. And here's where I'm at. And what I'm modifying is a copy from Amy Gable Stitcher. The little scarf that goes right through here that says that I'm up to. In the original design, it's like a stripy scarf, you know, like what the Hogwarts scarves look like. And I just don't like that at all for the Slytherin colors. I think that you can't read it. I think that it's completely illegible. I don't like it at all. It looks okay in the mock-up, but every single one that I've seen on Instagram in these colors, I don't like. So when Amy was stitching it, she converted it, and she just did a solid green, like banner, scarf, whatever. Green? I think green. And then the words are gray. So I'm doing that. And so I figure I can actually stitch on that for this challenge. So, you know, actually, you don't have to stitch on your modification for the challenge as long as you can show that you did it or explain well enough what you're going to modify. Like if you're going to modify in the future, that's fine. But, you know, it's cool that I can actually stitch on it. Bonus points. They're not really bonus points. I just make those up in my head and then award them to myself. So, those are the 3 for this week. But then, and it's not like this week is any shorter than last week, because last week we had to stitch 700 and now we have to stitch 600. So it's not really shorter, but last week was 7 different projects for me and this is only 3. So I think that I'm going to be able to do it faster, although I see that my video is almost an hour now. Jeez. So there goes any chance of stitching today, because my husband's going to be home any second and I'm not even going to get this edited before we have to leave for the concert. So, whatever. Anyway, I planned out my extra credit because I'm hoping that I'm going to get at least 1 more done this week. I'd really like to like knock them all out this week, but I'm not off any other day this week, so that's not likely to happen. Anyway, there's one that is, the prompt is something about it makes you moan and cry to work on it. And so I'm doing it's out of this Christmas book by A Cross Stitch Christmas. It's by Craftaways. It's last year's, 2017. Anyway, it makes me moan and cry because I don't like the fabric. Isn't that the story of my life? I don't like this fabric. I don't like that fabric. You'd think I'd learn. I will learn. I'm not going to buy linen anymore. Yeah, I'm just not. So I'm doing these nutcrackers. And I have a start on the red one. That's what I started for Mania, and that's all I've gotten, and I haven't touched it since then, so I need to touch it. As you've heard like a million times, you're probably like, shut up already and end this video. So Amy named him King Candy Cane. But that's what I'm working on, and I hate the fabric, and so it makes me moan and cry, but you know, when it's all said and done, I'm gonna like it. So he's going in the middle. That's why I have a huge piece. I'm putting all 3 of them on this fabric. I think I might finish them the way they had them finished in the book, like as stocking holders, because there are 3 of us in my family. So I can give my husband this little King Candy Cane, and then my daughter is obsessed with purple, so she'll get the purple one, and then I get the green one, which is my favorite color. So perfect. I mean, my husband's favorite color is blue, so that would have been better, but I didn't think about it, and I have this little tiny start that I'm not gonna rip out, so he gets King Candy Cane. So that's where I'm at. That's it. Once I finish all these linens, I don't think I'll stitch on linen again. Ever since my last video, I've spent this whole like 2 weeks debating UFOing my my Wizard of Oz by Brooks Books, which I showed you last video. It's on linen. I don't like it. The thing about linen, I know some people love it. That's awesome. You do you. I don't like it for large pieces. Like, I'm doing all 12 Brooks Books characters. That's a big piece. That's a lot of stitching on linen. I had to UFO my mirrors that were on linen because that's a lot of stitching on linen. If I took those fabrics and like cut them up and did little tiny things on them, or like ornaments, I think I would like it better. It's just when I know that I have like weeks or months of stitching left on these pieces. Like, I'm not feeling it. Not at all. So then another year-long extra credit, another February extra credit is something that's howling for attention. And so, you know, I've already showed you a couple things that I haven't touched since May. Those are howling. But what I decided to work on is my candy train, and it's out of the same book. That is the, I need to find the picture here. Little candy train. I don't know, I think it's pretty cute. It's by Ursula Michael, in case you were wondering. I don't think that I'll finish it as a pillow, but I haven't touched it since the day I started it. So I feel like this is howling for attention. And this is a Lugana, a 28 count ice blue Lugana. It's orange. Does that mean Swigert? I don't know. And this is all I have. So this is on the engine. Oh look, there's a little one right here I can show you. It's like this little like red square that's kind of inside the engine. That's what this is. So one of my, I remember I was saying those goals that Amy and I set for next May. One of mine was to finish the engine on this piece. And I haven't touched it. And I'm not going to finish it by May. It's just not going to happen. But it's howling for attention, so it'll get 500 stitches this month. Come on, Miss Brown. I'm sorry. I never thought I could talk so much. My first video, like, I thought I could talk a lot. So when my first video was only 13 minutes, I was like, wow, I'm really, like, on the ball. I get stuff done. These are going to be quick videos. No movies from me. It's all downhill from there. All right, so two more. Another extra credit for February is something that is sluggish, that just is going to take you forever. So I'm doing Epic Harry Potter for that, because this is definitely going to take me forever. This is one of those pieces that some people call like their nursing home piece. Like, I'm not 100% convinced I'm ever going to finish this, and I'm kind of okay with that because it's fun, you know. And I don't know where I would hang this giant Harry Potter if I ever do finish it. But I have a couple notes too about what I'm going to change on here. But the only thing, I don't know if I'll actually do them. The only thing I've changed so far is I changed the yellow, the Gryffindor yellow, to 817. I might have gotten that from Coffee Stitcher. I don't know. I follow a lot of, I have over the years followed a lot of Epic Harry Potters, and kind of like made notes of things that I like or don't like. And June was kind enough to chart some of her modifications and send them to me so I can do some of what she's doing if I decide to when I get there. But here's where I'm at. So I'm really not very far. This is actually a start on the Gryffindor banner. And then this is just the border that goes around it. One of the things that I really, really might do is this like middle border right there. It's in Ravenclaw blue. It's actually the same blue down here. And then you see like here, like right here under Gryffindor, and like here and here, like they have that same Ravenclaw blue. And June pointed out, like, why? Why do you have the Ravenclaw blue repeated everywhere? Nobody else is repeated. And so she changed hers to a really pretty variegated purple, which I love. It looks so good. The thing that I hate is I have this tiny little start on this blue. I'd have to frog it if I'm going to do it in purple. And I might, because it's just a little start. And the purple does look so, so, so good. But we know how I feel about frogging. Anyway, this is a 28 count Lugana in doubloon by Picture This Plus. That's her bet. So this is going to take me a while. A pretty good choice for sluggish. So that. And I mean, you know, I know I just went on that whole like tangent about how I feel like using Epic Harry Potter on Harry Potter challenges is cheating for me, not for you. Please don't be offended if you're using it. I personally don't want to do it because I'm crazy. because I'm crazy, guys. Not because there's anything wrong with it. But, you know, sluggish. I could do one of my ponies. They're taking me a while too. I could do Death by Cross Stitch. I could do Big Red Ship of Life. Those are all sluggish. But I haven't touched this last summer. So it's not like a direct, it's not like they're like stitch something that's the spirit of Hermione and I'm stitching Hermione. Like, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Please don't be offended. I'm just crazy. The very last one, I promise. I'm sorry. So the last prompt is stitch on a scary animal because of the spiders and basilisk that are in this book. So I'm going to stitch on my Prairie Schoolers Santa 2017. It's a good question. I lost the card. I had it in here. This is my Joann's. If you remember, I said last month I got this idea to put these little floss bags in a notion pouch from Caroline, and I had this one from Joanne sitting around. So this is the first one I ever tried it on, and then I loved it, and so then I asked June to make me 100. Alright, here it is. So what year is this? It's 2017, and there's a polar bear, and even though this polar bear looks super cute and friendly, polar bears are scary. They're very large. So I feel like I just learned an interesting fact about polar bears. I can't remember right now. There's something about like if you ever encounter a polar bear, like something that you should or shouldn't do. And I've already forgot. So if I ever encounter a polar bear, I'm probably dying. But here's where I'm at. And this is on the called for fabric, which is 18 count putty khaki Davos. And that's how far I got so far. Here's my starting point. And this is the first fabric I've ever used where, you know, there's that rule about like starting your X on the right or on the correct like weave, correct like part of the weave. I think you know what I'm talking about. There's a rule about how you start your floss so that it doesn't slip under the weave, and I've never really paid that much attention to it before because it's never really been an issue for me before until this one. Oh my gosh, every single stitch wants to slip under the weave. And I did it right. I like looked it up and made sure I was doing it right, that I was starting it in the right place, and I am. And for the most part, my X's, you know, if I'm careful, they're okay. But this back stitch, oh, every single one wants to slip under the weave. It took me so long to do that, which is why I put it down. But most of the back stitch is done now, so I can move on to my scary polar bear. Okay, that's it. That's all my plans. Hopefully I will come back and I will show you what I did on the 3 for this week's challenge. I will show you hopefully some February extra credit. Maybe I will have figured out and stitched some year-long extra credit. That's me getting like really ambitious, guys. But we'll see. Hopefully I'll be back soon. And I hope you guys have a great week. And if it's snowing where you are, I hope you stay safe. You can see it's snowing where I am. I'm not a fan. I don't like the snow at all. But what y'all could do. Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.